Hi, everyone. Welcome to First and North. My name is Luke Canellis at Fox 32 in Chicago. Let's bring in the crew. Joining me this week on First and North, the voice of the Detroit Lions, Dan Miller from Fox Detroit. From Fox Milwaukee, Lily Zhao. From Fox Minneapolis, welcome back, Pierre Nugent. Good to see everyone. NFL regular season underway. Bears-Vikings wrapped up week 1 Monday night. Bears losing to Minnesota 27-24. I want to go inside the Vikings locker room after the game before I bring in Pierre. Vikings erased a 17-6 fourth quarter deficit, thanks in large part to their quarterback, J.J. McCarthy.
And lastly, none of this happens. This feeling that we have right now does not happen without one other guy. All right? Did not go the way any of us wanted. This guy, all right, I could tell from the jump, he was poised. He was poised. But this guy didn't quit me, and you always thought he would figure it out. 2 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown all in the second half.
All right, I'm going to bring in Pierre. Pierre, obviously we're hurting here in Chicago, but...
Lou, I went to bed. I had no idea you guys lost. How did that happen? I went to sleep. Congrats, Pierre.
I'll tell you what, man. Here in town, there are many who feel that if the Bears were going to lose their home opener and they lost it to J.J. McCarthy, who was from LaGrange Park, who won a state football title at Nazareth, who obviously won a national championship at Michigan, it was okay to lose to J.J. McCarthy, who was terrific down the stretch. What is the media saying? What are the fans singing in Minneapolis about the Vikings the day after?
Well, everybody right now, Lou, as you can imagine, is all aboard the J.J. McCarthy bandwagon. For about 3 quarters, it looked like it was going to be a disastrous opener for not just J.J. McCarthy, but the Vikings in general. But how quickly things can turn around in the National Football League. Last night, J.J. McCarthy became the first player in NFL history to account for 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter of his NFL debut. A remarkable comeback from Minnesota. And like I was saying, it was all doom and gloom, especially in that first half. Lou, you were at the game. You saw how things turned out in that first 30 minutes, and it was looking like it was going to be a Bears victory, no problem, but especially after that pick 6 in the third quarter. But somehow, some way, J.J. McCarthy, I think it's the mental fortitude, Lou, that really has impressed me the most. It's not so much about the throw that he made or the throws that he didn't make. It's the mental fortitude of a young quarterback, and this is how we judge quarterbacks in this league. It's in the fourth quarter. It's winning time, and he was able to put his team on his shoulders. Of course, a lot of other things happened as well throughout the team that allowed Minnesota to go on and win that game. But the mental fortitude of J.J. McCarthy not to get down in the moment and not allow the lights to be too bright for him, that's what impressed me the most. And I think a lot of people are excited about J.J. McCarthy moving forward here in Minnesota.
I'm with you. Kid was terrific when it counted most, and we know what he went through last year, so I'm not surprised. Now, before I start, here's what Ben Johnson, head coach of the Bears, had to say after Monday night's loss.
You know, we said going into week 1 that the team that would make the least number of mistakes would win the game, and unfortunately we were on the wrong side of that. We made too many there late in the game, myself included. There were a number of things that I could have done better, a number of things that a number of guys could have done better.
I mean, we felt like we were dominating the game, like you said, and we were, in control, up 2 scores coming out of half, and that mentality is something that we have, something that we preach, and that didn't happen today.
I'm glad to see Ben Johnson taking responsibility for what happened last night. First game as a head coach during an NFL regular season game. It had some good and had some bad as well. All right, the start was terrific. You touched on it. Pierre took the opening drive, scored a touchdown, something the Bears, by the way, hadn't done all of last season. They were the slowest starting offense. So at least we have fixed that issue. The second half, though, was a much different story for this Bears team. Forget about what J.J. McCarthy did. I have seen the movie before with Caleb Williams. I saw it all of last season. And Pierre, I want you to jump in, and don't misunderstand me here. There's plenty of blame to go around in Chicago. 12 penalties for 127 yards. Those 12 penalties, guys, were the most in a game for a Bears team since 2021. 127 penalty yards, most ever for a Bears team in an opener. And you know how that just aggravates the heck out of Ben Johnson, Dan Miller. I know you know that. Pre-snap is an issue, lack of discipline. It falls on the coaches, some of it. Ben Johnson's first game as a head coach, he made some questionable calls as well. Needed every second at the end of the game after a poor decision to challenge that T.J. Hawkinson catch. They lost that review. If your kicker can't kick the ball out of the end zone, why not kick it out of bounds? Instead, the Bears lose valuable time, allowing the Vikings to return the kick. And instead of having, as Johnson said in the press conference, 56 seconds left for a possible drive at the end of the game, they had just 16 seconds. Before I get to Pierre, I want to bring in and talk more about J.J. McCarthy. I want to bring you in, Dan Miller from Detroit, and Lily from Green Bay as well. Dan, the narrative in Chicago, now that we look to the Lions game, is that the Lions really missed Ben Johnson's offense and play calling in their 27-13 loss at Lambeau Field. Did they, or was Green Bay's defense just real good at Sunday?
Well, first of all, you have to credit Green Bay. They made plays in this game that the Lions didn't make. I think when you start talking about the coordinators, though, there has to be a balance that's struck between what did the coordinators call and how did the players execute on the field. It's very easy to just say the Lions did not play well, it's the fault of the new coordinators. But I think you also have to look at the players. If you look at that opening drive, Lou, the Lions had the Packers in 3rd and 6, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10. That's exactly where you want to put a team, and then you have to make a play to get off the field, and the Lions didn't do it. Credit the Packers. They made plays and converted. I think if you look at the Lions' offense, 3 consecutive times they got down into the red zone and didn't come away with a touchdown, came away with 6 points. 2 drives at the end of the first half and the drive to start the third quarter. This team historically has turned those into touchdowns. So I think you have to look at it and say they weren't good enough, and you can certainly place some of that on the coordinators, but don't let the players off the hook by just saying it's the plays that were called. That new-look offensive line had issues. The defensive line didn't provide enough pressure. So there was plenty to learn from in this game. But I also think upon closer inspection that they weren't that far off. But listen, if I'm Green Bay, I feel really good about that opening game and really good about getting out of there 1-0 and the fact that they did a lot of things right. So we got our issues to deal with. Green Bay should certainly feel good about the way that game went.
And we have our issues here in Chicago as well. Lily, speaking of Green Bay Packers, you look back in history, at least last season, 0-6 against the 3 top teams in the NFC. Jordan Love against the Lions had the best quarterback rating in the NFC in week 1. Defense looked awesome. Micah Parsons played, 29 snaps, but he still, in my opinion, made an impact. I actually felt like with Parsons on the football field, and Dan, by all means, jump in because you've seen enough football over the last 20, 21 years as voice of the Lions. I felt that Parsons actually made his teammates, and this is what a superstar is supposed to do, he made his teammates even better. What do you think, Lily?
He absolutely did, and let's just talk about the hype that surrounded his debut in Green Bay. He certainly lived up to it. I mean, the Micah Parsons effect is real. We saw it on the very first snap of the game. Gets by Penei Sewell, who, as we all know, is a terrific player at his position. And so he was going, one-on-one with Penei all day, but just the Micah Parsons effect was seen in real time. He puts pressure on Jared Goff, who throws an interception to Evan Williams. There was that sequence at the goal line where Colby Wooden said it kind of, the sea parted. It was like the Red Sea. It parted, and I was one-on-one with the running back because you had guys double-teaming Rashawn Gary and double-teaming Micah Parsons. And so that's what happens when you have a guy of his caliber along the line. It's getting other guys opportunities. So while it might not show up in the stat sheet as more than just 1 sack, his presence on the field was invaluable for the Packers defense. I think there was a play where they took him off for a 3rd down, and the Lions converted. And so credit to them, but the fact that Micah Parsons was able to disrupt the offensive line and really elevate the play of his fellow defenders says a lot about why the Packers wanted to bring him in and why he is really, really good and why they're paying him the money that they're paying him. So Micah Parsons is for real. We all know it, and he really elevated the play of his teammates.
All right, before I bring you back, Dan, real quickly, I want you to listen to Parsons after his first career game as a Packer.
These last 6 months was super draining, super toxic for everyone. I mean, it's something that, I don't think no player should have to go through. I think players fate should be decided earlier. I think the fact that I was traded a week before the season, it was really outrageous and rough. It's something where I could have been with these guys getting better and better, and we could have had probably even more dominant start, you know, if that was the decision we was going to make. So I'm just happy that's behind. These guys embraced me. They believe in my talents. They believed in me, and I'm just going to give these guys everything I have because I know what's at stake. I know what they gave up for me to be here, and I'm going to do what it takes for us to win.
All right, let me bring back Dan. Dan, I know it's a small sample size, just 29 plays, but do you think there was a Micah Parsons effect last Sunday?
There's no doubt. Listen, I've been doing this one way or another for 44 years. And to this day, one of my favorite moments is when the home team comes out of the tunnel and you hear that crowd erupt. I get chills. And I will, when I don't, I'll know it's time for me to leave because I still do. And when Micah Parsons was announced and Lambeau Field exploded, man, you felt that. And there's something infectious about a great player joining your team because it goes back to something that we talk about on this show and that I talk about a lot. It's hope. It's hope that that's the guy that's going to make the difference. And every fan felt it, every teammate felt it, every coach felt it, every executive felt it. So absolutely there was a Micah Parsons effect. Now, how does that work out over 17 games into the playoffs? That's what we have to see. But this is a huge trade. It's a massive chip that they've got to push to the middle of the table now to play everybody else. And there was a Micah Parsons effect in this game. And believe me, Lily's right. There were guys that were going out of position because they had to deal with Micah Parsons. And he's also going up against our best offensive lineman in Penei Sewell and taking him away from anything else that he can possibly do. So this guy is a factor, was a factor, and will be a factor.
And we're all going to have to deal with him now in the NFC North. Pierre, let me bring you back. Why were the Vikings so much better in the second half? Why did J.J. McCarthy in his first NFL regular season game look more effective in that fourth quarter than Caleb Williams?
From my perspective, Lou, it was very simple. They controlled the line of scrimmage a heck of a lot better in the second half than they did in the first half. And that's why I thought the Bears had the better of the 30 minutes. I thought they were a lot better at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the football. And then in the second half, slowly but surely, you saw this offensive line start to gel a little bit better. Remember, they have a rookie at left guard in Donovan Jackson, who I thought was terrific last night. They're still without Christian Darrisaw at left tackle. Justin Skule had a little bit of trouble, especially in that first half, trying in the run, not only in run blocking, but in pass pro as well. But I thought Minnesota was so much better at controlling the line of scrimmage, and it showed because they were able to establish a run game in the second half with Jordan Mason that they weren't able to do in the first half. The moment the run game started to get going a little bit, that offense started to open up a little bit more, and that really helped J.J. McCarthy, because when you have a young quarterback like that, you need a consistent run game to help him along, because if you put it on him too much early on, it could really affect his confidence. And thankfully, that wasn't the case, especially in that fourth quarter, as Minnesota was able to control the ground game a little bit better and open up that offense a little bit more for J.J. McCarthy, who was able to show what he could do with his arm, made some great throws, especially that throw over the middle to Justin Jefferson in the end zone. Thought that really opened up a lot of things, the run game, I should say, for J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah, it sure did. Jordan Mason was a great find for that organization. Let me get back to Caleb Williams. This is what bothered me. There were at times, especially after that 10-for-10 start, where he looked like the same quarterback as I saw last season. Frantic in the pocket, happy feet. His inaccuracy with his throws, man, that was alarming. I mean, he wasn't just missing. Caleb Williams was missing by a mile with his throws. He was the most inaccurate quarterback in the league during the Week 1 games, according to ESPN. And that doesn't work in the Ben Johnson offense. ESPN said that Williams was off target on 47% of his passes in the second half alone during money time. And, man, they spent the whole second half, the Bears did, in 3rd and long, 3rd and 10. Lily, real quickly, Green Bay's win over the Lions. Is this the Jordan Love for MVP I've been hearing about the past few weeks?
Yeah, I would say maybe that first half, Jordan Love. I know there was a little bit of a lull in the second half, made a couple of questionable decisions, but I would say when Jordan Love is on, when that deep ball is really working for him, I mean, he's going to be a top 5 quarterback if he can sustain this play and just not make any sort of mental mistakes. But we really saw this Packers offense go out in the opening drive and prove why they are going to be a good team under Jordan Love. So hopefully this is just a game that he can stack success and what he hopes might be an MVP season.
Oh, man, I'm jacked about this first week. Even though the Bears lost, we need to take a timeout when we come back here on First and North. We'll get you the latest updates on injuries around the division. I want to talk to Dan about that offensive line in Detroit as well. And we'll get you ready for week 2 of the NFL season here on First and North.
Major League Baseball on Fox.
What I'm doing, getting right to it. The money is talking, I'm flowing, it's coming in just how I do it. Oh
my goodness! Major League Baseball all season long on Fox.
Welcome back to First and North. Lou Canellis with you, Fox 32 Chicago. Dan Miller in Detroit. I'm going right to you, Dan. Rookie right guard Tate Ratledge played 24 snaps this preseason. Starting left guard Christian Mahogany, he didn't play at all in the preseason. And Dan Campbell said in hindsight, maybe he should have played both more this past summer. Then the Lions lose offensive tackle Jamarco Jones for the season. They signed, what I saw today, Devin Cochran. This guy's massive, 6'7", 330 if I'm not mistaken. But really, this is not the Lions' offensive line that we have seen the last few years, is it?
Well, no. When you lose Frank Ragnow, who's one of the best players in the league, and you lose Kevin Zeitler, who was a Pro Bowler a couple of years ago, you lose a lot. And they're trying to work these new guys in. You mentioned Ratledge, you mentioned Mahogany, and then Graham Glasgow, who is in there at center now, whom they wanted a veteran that could kind of lead the way. They lost Jones, as you mentioned. That's where they bring in Cochran. Their depth at tackle right now is really questionable. They went into this game with Gio Manu being their backup tackle, and he's really never broken an egg in this league yet. So there's some urgency there. If they were to suffer an injury to Sewell or Decker, it would be problematic. But look, those young guys took their lumps in this first game, and that's going to have to improve. But it's also to be expected. That's the second start for Mahogany and the first game ever in the NFL for Tate Ratledge. I don't care if you're coming from Georgia and you played in a lot of high-leverage games there. You're going to see things in the NFL that you have not seen in college. So part of the Lions moving on and getting better is that these guys are going to have to get better. And I anticipate they will with time and with reps and getting into game number 2 and game number 3 and having the ability to lean on what you've seen and experienced. They have to believe that because this offensive line is key to everything that they want to do on offense.
Good point. Green Bay, Thursday nighter against the Commanders, Lily, at Lambeau Field. Will Micah Parsons be on a pitch count?
I would assume so. Again, short turnaround. He only played 45% of their defensive snaps against the Lions, so I can't see why they would want now be giving him 100% of his snaps. So I think he will still be on a pitch count, but I think he will still be effective on the field when he is out there. Jaden Daniels, just a different kind of quarterback in terms of his athleticism, a younger guy as well. So the Packers will need him to kind of chase after Jaden if need be. So I would assume he would still be on a pitch count on Thursday.
What about Matthew Golden? 2 catches in his first game, limited at practice, bad ankle. Is he on track to play?
We shall see. We're going to hear from Matt LaFleur in a couple hours here, but I would expect he will be. I don't think there's anything out of Green Bay right now saying that it's severe enough that it'll keep him out, but I will kind of note their offensive line injuries. That might be more severe. Zach Tom, their right tackle, left the game with a hip injury. He's listed as having an oblique. Sounds like he might not play. And, of course, Aaron Banks out with an ankle and groin injury. He also might not play. So Packers might be losing 2 of their best offensive linemen in a game where they sorely do need them. So that'll also be up in the air.
Let me bring back Dan Miller. Dan, I should have asked you this in the first segment. Is there any panic in Detroit after week 1?
I think there was anger more than panic. I just think that, the biggest question in Detroit in the offseason has been about getting another edge to play opposite Aiden Hutchinson. And then you go out and have a game where you don't get any pressure. I honestly think their issue might be more interior than it is on the outside. Look, the biggest questions that the Lions had going in, could you pressure the quarterback? How are your coordinators going to do? And what's that new look offensive line going to turn out to be? And in the first week, it wasn't great. So you had some I told you so's and you had some Lions fans that were angry about it. But look, there's too much talent on this team for them to stay down long. And I will throw this stat at you as well. Dan Campbell's team in Detroit has not lost 2 games in a row since October 30th, 2022. They don't stay down for long, and they got to get back up to play this Bears team coming up on Sunday. And it's going to be a real interesting thing to see coming back home, how much they can tune up and how much they're going to be ready to go. And I would submit to you, as I said at the top of the show, I don't think they were as far off as maybe some people thought if you take a second look at that game. But they definitely have some work to do.
Thanks for that number. You just ruined everyone's day here in Chicago as we look ahead to Sunday. Pierre, let me bring you back. Minnesota's defense against the run, exceptional against the Bears. I mean, Bears got nothing going on the ground. They started getting to Caleb Williams in the fourth quarter. Are they going to get Christian Darrisaw, Harrison Smith, Blake Cashman back for the Falcons on Sunday?
Well, I'm a little more optimistic on Harrison Smith, who's been dealing with an undisclosed illness. He might be, of those three players, the closest one to returning this Sunday night when the Vikings host the Falcons on Sunday Night Football. From what I'm hearing about Christian Darrisaw, even though he was ruled out before the game, I'm not as optimistic that he's going to be ready to return within the next week, possibly two. So I would expect Justice School to get back out there at left tackle for the Vikings this Sunday, barring something that we don't know right now with Christian Darrisaw. But from what I'm hearing, Christian Darrisaw may not be back for at least another week, possibly two. Blake Cashman, hamstring injury, those are always tricky. Could be 1 week, it could be several weeks. So you just don't know with Blake Cashman. But I would be surprised if Blake Cashman suits up on Sunday when the Falcons come to town.
Yeah, a lot of soft tissue injuries in this first 2 weeks of the season. Here in Chicago, I'm not pushing the panic button in town. I've been screaming from the mountaintop since the hiring of Ben Johnson, and after talking to Dan when we were together at the owners' meetings in April, Bears fans have to be patient. New head coach, new offensive system, new interior to the offensive line. Even Ben Johnson himself has said that he may need till the bye week, and then he'll regroup after the first 4 games. In Johnson's first year as offensive coordinator in Detroit, I remind you, the Lions opened up 1-6 back then, and he had Jared Goff, who was in his 7th NFL season, and Goff was a 2-time Pro Bowler. He was in a Super Bowl, even though they lost to the Patriots, and he learned under Sean McVay. It's going to take time, Bears fans that are watching, for this Bears offense to come together. And if Ben Johnson decides after 4 games or 6 games or 8 games that he should be getting more out of some of his players, he'll make a change, whether it's at running back, at right guard, and yeah, even at quarterback. All right, we need to take our final timeout. We preview Week 2 around the NFC North when we come back here on First and North.
Oregon takes on Northwestern. It's Big Noon Saturday on Fox.
Welcome back, First and North. Commanders, Packers, Thursday night. Lily, let me bring you in. I'm going to start with you. Micah Parsons, this guy dominates the Commanders, has more sacks against Washington than any other team, 10.5 sacks, 8 career games. How do the Packers slow down Jaden Daniels?
They got to keep everything in front of him. Don't let him burn you with his legs. And also, like they did against the Lions, it's prevent the big play from happening. I think that's their best chance of slowing down this offense and getting ahead. So limit Jaden Daniels and his legs and try to kind of stop the big playability. It's going to be easier said than done, but that's what the Packers defense has to do behind Micah Parsons.
Dan, give me 30 seconds. Just tell me, I know Ford Field is going to be rocking with Ben Johnson back.
It's going to be electric, no doubt about it. Lions have to play better than they did in the opener. You better expect the Bears team that you saw early in game number 1 that's going to come out and play well. Caleb's a problem. He can move. Lions had trouble pressuring Love. You saw the pass he threw to Odunze was a thing of beauty, and he can get out there and run as well. So the Lions have to contain him, but expect Chicago to be ready.
Pierre, yes or no? Vikings make it 6 straight home wins?
I'm going to say yes. Try to contain Bijan Robinson as best as you possibly can. He is certainly a weapon, not just on the ground, but through the air. Contain Bijan Robinson, you got a great chance of starting the season 2-0.
Guys, great show. Dan, Lily, Pierre, thank you so much. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week, right here on First and North.